making this evening fun and exciting, our Australian duo, Therese and Paul.
G'day!
Good.
G'day, mate. How you going? All right, if you will please all stand for the Australian National Anthem. There's paper in front of you, and I expect you all to sing along. Thank you, Madam Music.
It's loading.
Maybe you could tell us about the national anthem while
Us rejoice, for we are young and free. Golden soil and wealth for joy. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. She is his rich and state his Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
And then we all clap from And then I'm going to go Aussie, 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 and you're going to go oi, oi, oi. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi! Aussie! Oi! Aussie! Oi! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
Loosen up now.
All right, so
Who's got the Fosters?
what you see in front of you also on the plates are some Australian lamingtons. These are a traditional cake, and it's sponge cake in the middle, and then chocolate icing with coconut. And they're very yummy, so feel free to go ahead and pick out. Also in the bowls, you'll see some Jaffas and Minties. Enjoy it. Go for it, mate.
And cookies over there.
And joy. Okay.
Thank you.
What is Australia Day? Well, Cole covered that a little bit, but he was kind of he missed the mark a little. Australia Day is really a chance for us to wrestle crocodiles and train our kangaroos. Yeah. Joking.
That was a good one, Therese.
We don't wrestle crocodiles and we don't train the kangaroos. All right. Paul, what's on
Unless you pull Hogan.
Unless you Paul Hogan. What is Australia Day?
Okay, I just want to be a little serious for a minute regarding Australia Day. Cole rightly pointed out that Australia was claimed by the British about the time that the US lost 13 colonies. So England was looking for a place to put people and another place to colonise. And they chose Australia. They chose Australia because in 1770, Lieutenant Cook then discovered Australia. But that's not really true. We've discovered through the archaeological record that the Vikings actually discovered Australia thousands of years ago. They actually have found longboats on the beach. So my heritage is probably Norse, so I'm kind of proud of the fact that original people of Australia were the Vikings, who most likely perished there and never didn't return back to Norway or Sweden or wherever. The other people who discovered Australia before Captain Cook and the British were actually the Dutch. The Dutch, perhaps in the early 1700s, went to Western Australia. They called Australia Van Diemen's Land. And they just thought Australia was the western bit. So they really couldn't survive, and they abandoned any hope of settling on the western side. So along comes Captain Cook in 1770. He discovered Australia officially, and we were all taught to believe that Captain Cook discovered Australia. 10 years later, well 7 years later, 1777, the British, the Poms as we like to call them, sent a delegation, Captain Arthur Phillip, with colonists, and on January the 24th they landed on the east coast of Australia at a place called Botany Bay. They landed in Botany Bay. They discovered that it was a horrible place. Too many mosquitoes, lots of aboriginals, it was hostile. 2 days later they moved up to the coast and they discovered a beautiful harbour. And frankly, if you've ever been to Australia, Sydney Harbour, we have to lay claim to the fact it is the most beautiful harbour in the world. I think that you may dispute that, but I'm not going to. And they settled there. Beautiful place, beautiful harbour. So that was on January the 26th, 1778. January the 26th became the official Australia Day, the official Founders Day. But Teresa and I are actually not going to conduct tonight's meeting. We're going to hand it over to our cousins. And our cousins, Sheila.
G'day, Bruce.
How are you?
Good.
How are
How are you going?
you?
Pick 'em up, love.
You're bloody hopeless, like that.
So I reckon, Bruce, that we hand it over to this mob. They're a corker of a lot, don't you reckon?
Get away from.
Fair income, they're a hot-looking bunch.
And can I do an Australian accent?
You can have a go, love. Have a go.
I might do an Australian accent for the whole hour.
For the whole hour.
And I think we should be excused from ums and ahs, Tom,
Yeah.
because there's got to be a lot of things that really don't go along with any recognised English.
Fuck that.
I'm up. Look at it.
Fuck that, okay. All right, it's true.
Who's first? Who's first? I think you ought to go first.
Fair crack of the whip, Bruce.
Dear, I've known these for a long time. Use this bad.
Righto, let's get on with it.
First, who's the first victim?
Tell us that you want a fair suck of the salve. A fair suck of the salve. Junkin.
Good evening, Toastmasters, or Toastmasters table topic audience. Could you repeat the question? Because I'm a little confused.
Tell us that you want a fair suck of the salve.
So, what do you think that means?
And tell us that you want a fair suck of the salve. You don't have to be
You
right.
don't have to be right, we'll explain it
We'll
later.
explain everything as we go.
I want a fair suck of the salve because I am a very eligible single bachelor male in my 20s, and hopefully it's somewhat along the lines of what you're going to say later. And, you know, I would really like to suck the slab. That sounds really good, and I believe it's going to be a good thing, so thank you very much.
Yes,
Why don't you
Bruce.
tell everyone what suck of the salve means?
Right, first of all, salve is short for Savoy, right? But the statement means that you make someone talk. You want to convince someone who is not letting you do or say something. You want a fair share of the conversation.
You want a fair shake.
You want a
Fair
fair
deal.
go.
Wow.
A fair suck of the salve, right? Right, Bruce.
Okay, Sheila, after the meeting, Peter, you might want to listen to this one. After the meeting, we're all going to hit the frog and toad. What do you think that means? Where would you hit the frog and toad? Peter Bunce.
Probably at a pub where they serve ale, because ale rhymes with tail. Did you get it? So if I'm out at a pub and they're serving ale, of course, we all know that alcohol and ale loosens everybody's lips. They open up, they talk about things that they couldn't normally talk about if they've had nothing to drink. So I advise all of you to, afterward, and if you're not driving anywhere or going someplace in a hurry, hit the frog and tail. Okay, and I wouldn't recommend this either for someone who is below the drinking age. But you can have something called Adam's ale in large quantity, which we also know as aqua or water. You can drink that to your heart's content, but if you drink too much of it, you know what happens? You drown. So hit the frog and tail, head to your favorite pub, and imbibe to your very favorite drink. It's the tabletop
Thank you, Peter. One of the, a lot of the people after Australia was discovered, they didn't send a lot of settlers though, they sent all the convicts. So a lot of us are descended from convicts, the convict heritage. And a lot of these convicts came from London and they were Cockneys and they had a special language amongst themselves. Some of you may have heard me speak about this in past speeches. But Australians have embraced what's called Cockney rhyming slang. Right? Frog and toad is an example of that. And unfortunately, Peter, if you went to the pub and had as much to drink as you claim you did, and you hit the frog and toad, you're going to be in serious trouble with the police because frog and toad is the road. So if we're going to say we're hitting the frog and toad, we're leaving, we're going to hit the road. So that's right. That's right. Rhyming slang, more of that later. So Sheila, next.
Right over it.
What's going on?
Beauty. All right.
All right, here you go.
Yeah, for hint income. Tell us, Bob's your uncle. Villa.
Well, Bob cannot be my uncle because on my mother's brother's name starts with a D. So it's Donald or Dallas would be my uncle. So Bob's your uncle means that this guy is your uncle. Your mother didn't tell you the truth. You're adopted, and these are your real family. You're from Australia. For me, I would be a descendant of the Aborigines, and Bob's uncle was my uncle. And my Uncle Dallas and Uncle Don are not my uncles. Bob's your uncle. I have no idea. I don't want to eat Vegemite. I just want to make that clear. So please, Bob's your uncle. It means you're correct.
Bob's your uncle actually means that everything's going to work out.
Oh, good. Well, see, that's true for me.
And for our next one, I like to have a schooner every night. So the next person, I'm going to ask this question, where would you go for a schooner and why? David Chapman. In Europe.
Thank you, Madam and Master. Master. Where would I go for a schooner? Well, I think the place that comes to mind where I would go for a schooner is Marina del Rey, because I know that they have all kinds of boats there. And not only could I find a rowboat or a dinghy or a yacht, but I could definitely find a schooner. And if I were to get on that schooner, there's a chance that I might be able to find a captain who would actually captain my schooner. And if it was a seaworthy schooner, I could then take that schooner all the way to Australia. Okay? And that's where I could find out more about Bob's your uncle, and Fair Dinkum, and the whole time. Actually, on the schooner, I could study all things Australian so that when I hit shore, I would be fully prepared for the language. Madam Tabletop.
Thank you, David. I like to have a beer every night. and the size of the glass, a schooner is actually a half pint.
That's what I was gonna say.
One of the things about going to the pub in Australia is you don't order a glass of beer. It comes in various sizes up until a pint to a gallon of beer or a yard of beer. And our ex-Prime Minister actually has the world's record for drinking a yard of beer, which is a beer thing this big. And Jen says she knows about it. But it's basically beer, Dave, having a beer, having a screw. I loved your answer, I thought it was great.
Which reminds me of the yard glass. I don't know if you guys do it here, but when you're 21, the person who's celebrating their birthday gets a yard glass, and they have to scull the drink that's in the yard glass. Do you do that here? No?
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
16.
we're not alcoholics or anything like that.
We just do 24 smaller.
I think Australia followed closely by South Africa.
They do it at 16.
Followed by South Africa is, we're probably the biggest beer drinkers in the world, unfortunately.
No.
It's not something we'd like to lay a lot of claim to. Per capita.
Yeah. It's mandatory.
Alrighty. Shut up, Bruce.
All right, Sheila, it's your turn. Sorry,
You're sitting-
sorry, love.
You're sitting at a table having lunch. Someone at the table opened their lunch. What did they do and what did you say to them? Marco.
Sheila and Bruce, fellow Toastmasters and guests. These are taradiddle questions, and I'm not going to answer these. So, we were at lunch, and I told a really dirty joke, and my date opened her lunch on me. And the only thing I could do was step back and wipe it off and ask her if my story was offensive, and she would then tell me yes by opening her lunch again on me. And at that point, I realized that this is probably not going so well, so I'm gonna take off and hopefully I'll open my lunch on someone. Get the next, I'll pay it forward.
What you're paying forward is that opening your lunch means that someone farted.
Oh. That's close. That's close.
Oh,
We're also one of the crudest peoples in the world, too.
oh my God.
Okay.
That's great.
Wow.
All right. Something a little lighter. The Aussie salute. Something we do a lot of in Australia. Tennille knows all about this.
It's not about farting either.
There's a constant brushing away of flies. Tell us the worst insect invasion story, or the worst insect invasion you have experienced. Dale.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. The worst insect invasion I experienced has to be in this apartment I lived in, where ants suddenly appeared out of the shower door. And it wasn't just one or two ants, it was hundreds of ants just crawling out of the woodwork, so to speak, was actually out of the glass and metal door frame. And I don't know how they got in there or why or where they went afterwards, but they went after a few days. But it was just a massive swarm of ants, and that was the worst insect invasion experience I've had. Thank you.
Gila, your turn.
Beauty. It's a quarter of a day, and your Joey is having a whinge. It's a quarter of a day, and your Joey is having a whinge.
That's good. I like this one.
What do you do? Melissa.
Say that bit again.
It's a corker of a day, and your Joey is having a whinge. What do you do?
Well, so happens, it's good that you say that question because it's very appropriate. It is a corker of a day today, and my Joey is having a whinge. Let me tell you guys why. So, I don't know if this meaning is right, but I'm going to say for me,
All good.
today for the past, let's see how long, I won't say how long, but for a while, my husband and I have been trying to have a baby. A couple people know that here, not everyone. And so it's taken a very long time, and I've been very patient, and I have been very positive and centered and grounded, and came through points where I thought it was never going to happen. And today, I went for an ultrasound, and I'm 3 months pregnant.
So corker means hot. It's a corker of a day. Joey means baby
Oh.
or baby kangaroo. And whinge means whining, complaining,
You'll do
letting
more
you
of that
know that something's wrong or going on.
Pretty close.
That was very
Really?
very
That's
close.
amazing.
It's like whinge about morning sickness or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Go, Bruce.
Okay, Sheila, this is one that
This is
is
perfect for
dear
this.
to our hearts, isn't it?
Yeah,
This
it's
one?
very dear to our heart. I don't know if it's just our hearts.
Well, we have really good lifesavers, as you know. A lot of them come here during the summer, and but they wear different. They wear different attire. Aussie lifeguards, men and women, wear speedos. Why do you think that is? Kurt.
We Aussies, I'm a lifeguard. I'm an Aussie lifeguard. And I wear Speedos because it helps me swim faster. And my uncle was a convict. He was in jail for most of his life. And he was a convict on this island. And he actually created this whole elaborate plan to escape the island and swim all the way back to Australia. And so what he did was he got cloth from his pillows and he made Speedos from his pillows. And finally when the day was right, he put on those Speedos. He waited till the guard was looking the other way, grabbed the keys and locked the door, and went swimming for freedom. And that's why we wear Speedos.
I must say that was a very creative answer, and you're partly right. One of the reasons, apart from the fact that Speedo is an Australian company, I didn't know that, and they're big here. They're very big here. But you don't see too many Speedos being worn by guys. It's gone out of fashion. Swim trunks, I think rightfully so.
Right.
There's another name for them.
Yeah, my wife got rid of mine when I came here. They disappeared. But one reason, it's an Aussie company and there's a lot of, they promote their product with the lifeguards. But Kurt's right. When you're saving someone, having floppy board shorts is often felt to be a hindrance. So Speedos really help lifesavers, and it's a smart thing. And just a vote by all the girls. Who think some of the Aussie lifeguards look hot in a pair of Speedos? Do we have any takers on that?
Do you know what they are?
Yeah.
Do you know what they look
If
like?
they're in shape. If they're in shape, yeah.
Do you know what they look like?
Speedos?
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just checking.
Any of the guys that got a cotton Speedos or not?
I used to wear them like 25 years ago.
John, did you used to wear Speedos? Did you tell us? Is that what I just heard, John?
Alrighty. In character, Aussie character. Tell us about your drive across the Great Dividing Range when you ran out of petrol and you started doing your block. How would you do your block? John P.
Yeah, we've
Well,
lost
we've lost the speaker,
Okay, okay.
so.
Say it one more time, just to make sure.
Alright, so. Tell us about your drive across the Great Dividing Range. You've run out of petrol and you start doing your block.
So I do my block,
Do
okay?
your block.
You're standing. When I was driving across the range, and I couldn't believe what happened.
Oh my god, he's a pirate.
I had to go there. Okay. So I was driving across, and all of a sudden I find out in the middle of this freaking range, I look at kangaroos and bugs everywhere. It's like, oh my god, what the hell happened? So I go and I say, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I have no freaking gas. I have no petrol. So all of a sudden I turn on the radio and I start to hear this music, you know, and I guess it was called The Block.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as they're going outside in the middle of this desert and everything else, I started dancing. And I'm like, all right, there you go.
Oh.
I was doing the block. And then all of a sudden, I found out that somebody came over, saw me do the block, and they brought some more petrol to me. And it was this Aussie mate, and she was quite hot. I enjoyed being with the company. And then she took me to Melbourne, and we had a great time, and we hung out with crocodiles and more kangaroos.
Oh my god.
So doing your block means you're angry and you go nuts, basically. Well done, though.
Something to play. Something to dance.
Off to you, Bruce.
Okay, Sheila, thanks. Now, the next, we're going to talk about something very important now. We all have bosses, unfortunately. Your boss just told you you were fired for being a bludger. Fired for being a bludger. Convince him and the board of directors you're not. Nicole. Sorry. I should start. You're a guest. Guests have 4 choices, as you know. You can answer the question I just gave you. You can get a new question, or you can answer an old question, talk about yourself, or just pass. Your choice.
Okay. I'm going to go with the question, but could you repeat it again?
Absolutely. Your boss just told you you're fired for being a bludger. Convince him and the board of directors you're not.
Right, well, it's like this, you know. I'm exactly just like the bloke over there. And in fact, I've been better than that because I've not been going around the frog and toad here. I've actually been in the office and had a really good time, actually, with the computer here. And I've been a damn bloody good worker here. So I don't know what this board of directors thinks that I'm just doing here because I've been actually a wonderful employee. And, you know, they can go bloody well take their fair share. I want my fair share of the suck of the stab, damn it. What else can I tell you about being a good employee here? You know what? I can't even say I damn well like it here, actually. I like working for myself, so you can go screw off and, you know, have a good day.
Nicole, that was very, very good. Actually, you're very close.
Yeah.
And being a bludger, if you're accused of being a bludger, you're accused basically of being lazy. You're bludging off other people. You're not working.
That was the word of the day once, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was word of the day once too. So your indignity, if you had worked and been a valuable asset to the company, is righteous, and you should go work for yourself. So Sheila,
Right.
next one.
Beauty.
What's next?
You're at a party and the food they are serving is witchetty grub. This grub is a thick worm, squishy on the inside, with tough skin. Explain how you eat it whilst maintaining dignity. Patrick. assuming that you're comfortable to answer.
I am. So actually, I am. I was watching a Discovery Channel the other day. This is exactly how you eat it. What you gotta make a fire with a little stone on it, and you gotta put it on the stone. You just flip it as if it's like I guess not a pancake, but you kind of like roll it like I don't know, whatever you roll. So after you do that, you pick it up when it's nice and crispy, like a French fry. Pull the head off, pull the butt off because that's all the crap is, and then you actually eat it. It's actually really, really good, full of protein, and you find it in trees actually. It's right underneath the bark, so you just gotta scrape it off. And I love Discovery Channel because it teaches you wonderful things like this. And one day, probably, I may go to Australia just to try some witch tea grub. It's actually pretty big, and I'm sure Timon and Pumbaa they shout out on it all the time, right? If you guys like that, Kuna Matata.
Pretty much.
That was awesome.
Yeah. They do often just throw the whole thing in the mouth though and it explodes in your mouth.
Oh.
Wow.
What's it called?
Right? Nice visual.
It's quite the visual.
Yeah, right.
Some of the nouveau cuisine in Australia.
They barbecue them a lot. Yeah. If they want to cook them. The Aborigines eat them raw though. Just dig them up and eat them.
The worms, though.
Oh, worms. They're thick. They're about that thick. About this
And
long.
they're very nutritious, by the way.
Tried them.
Do they taste like?
They discuss
They probably have good food, don't
You know, it's not so much the taste, it's the texture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they? All right, Sheila.
All right, Bruce.
So you give it one, obviously, yes.
Yeah.
Wagging at school means to skip school. Did you ever wag school? If so, tell us about it. If not, make it up to Neil.
Firstly, no worries to wagging school because us Aussies do it all the time. And with my cool mum over here, she would just let me stay home pretty much. Just like every day. I didn't even go to school. Like, we're in the bush anyway, and I don't even like have an education at all. All I did was just like ride my kangaroo around and you know, like I made my clothes out of the kangaroos. I mean, the crocodiles that I wrestled and caught, and then I would just skin them and make the clothes out of that. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I just wag school all the time. Don't even have an education. My mum was the same. Yep. Neither of us do. And yeah, that's it.
So to Neil, you know what wagging school means.
Yes.
Of course. And Sheila, you're next. I think we've only got one last one, looks like.
We do. How are we going for time?
Yeah, we need to go last one.
Okay. Your boss is described as Richie Didge. What do you think that means? Leah?
You can take four choices.
You can take that. You can take the question, have a question that we've already asked, talk about something else yourself, or pass.
I'll try to answer the question.
Great.
Great.
What was the word again?
Your boss is described as Reggie Didge. What do you think that means?
I think my boss being rigid.
Rigid?
It's being rigid, meaning that just really straight to the point and just very with the book, go by the book. That they want to. My boss doesn't want to have any leeway to have exception. It is what it is. Then I don't want to have any exceptions on anything. So you just have to go by the rule, pretty much. That's what I think what my boss is.
So Richie Didge means that your boss would be genuine.
Oh.
Very good, Richie Didge. Testing you all on the words later. Now we've got a little bit more time, so I think we're going to go into our people with roles.
The lesser roles.
Okay.
Yeah, the book.
I'll buy the book.
I think we'll do is, okay. Have you ever come a gutser? What's a gutser? And tell us about it. Jean.
Hey, Mr. and Madam Table Topics Master, fellow members and guests. I'm so glad you asked me this question. A gutser is someone who, actually a gutsa is someone who is very gutsy. So someone's got a lot of guts, someone who's really brave. So for example, let's say you had a group of people who were going skydiving and they were all on the plane and they were deciding who's gonna go first, who's gonna be the first one to jump out of that plane. It would be the one who's like, I'm gonna go first, that's the gutser. The one who's always saying, I'm going first, it's me, I'm not afraid, that's the gutser. Another example would be my friend Nicole. I would describe her as a gutser because I know that she did not want to come tonight because she is terrified of public speaking, yet she came and she spoke. Not only did she speak, but she spoke with an Australian accent. Tempting, but it was very good. So to me, she is a gutser.
Thank you, Jen. Actually, having a gutser is just an accident. You should, if you track the road for a gutser. It's a very small little float.
Sounds very convincing.
I
believe you. I thought she really knows what she's talking about.
I thought Scooter was a boat also after a while.
We have two speakers, so we can go a little longer. David, I think that's 7 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, beauty. Beauty. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, beauty, Gav.
Righto.
Troy's not here.
You just purchased a new bag of fruit. What are you going to do now? Cole.
Bag of fruit, you say?
Bag of fruit.
Bag of fruit is actually a pejorative term. Some people call it pejorative. For a young man who's interested in an older woman. It makes no sense in this country. But over there in Australia, bag of fruit is someone pretty much double your age. So the man is 23. In order to be a bag of fruit, she has to be 46. Gets more difficult when the man is 50 because all the bags of fruit are decayed. So only a certain aged man can be more or less prospecting for a bag of fruit. This is just, it's crazy talk, and I'm going to sit down.
Very good, however, a bag of fruit is a new suit. It's that rhyming, yeah. Bag of fruit, new suit.
Okay.
Bruce.
Okay, Sheila. We've run here for someone. Explain why you are a fig jam. F-I-G-J-A-M. Explain why you are a fig jam. Good.
Madam and Master Sheila's and Bruce Table Topics guests and fellow Toastmasters. The reason I would be called a fig jam is largely due to the shape that I am. Because once I find somebody that I really like, a woman that I really like, I will just go after her and stick to her like some gooey jam. And she keeps telling me to fig off, and I will keep pursuing until I eventually get what I want. And typically the jam is, has another meaning because it's kind of like a pickle. So a fig and a pickle and jam makes for a tremendous salad. In Australia, I believe if you add a few worms to that, it actually gives it some flavor. Texture's not exactly great, but if you have a fig and pickle jam with a bag of fruit, I think you would quite honestly have a good taste of the indigenous food of Australia. So that's why they call me a fig jam. I can fit a lot of fruit in my body.
Thank you for that rather creative. It's actually a combination. It's an acronym, believe it or not. It really means have a strong opinion of yourself, but the acronym is if I'm good, just ask me.
That's what I meant.
All right. Using the word fair dinkum as many times as possible. Use it, overuse it. Tell us about the best date you ever had. Does.
So the term was fair dinkum?
Fair dinkum.
Okay. Well, it was a fair dinkum of a day. And I met this great girl at a bar, got her number. She was a fair dinkum of a woman too. So I decided I'd like to see her again. So I texted her and decided I wanted to go on a date with her at the fair dinkum. And she said, yes, that would be great. So we actually arranged to meet up on another fair dinkum of a day. And I picked her up at her fair dinkum house. She had a fair dinkum dog. In fact, her whole family was fair dinkum. And because of that, I was actually kind of getting annoyed because everything about her was fair dinkum. But I decided to give her a benefit of the doubt. She didn't like my restaurant choice, so she decided that we should go to a restaurant called Fair Dinkum. I said, all right. Long story short, the meal was Fair Dinkum. She ended up being Fair Dinkum. The whole date was Fair Dinkum, so I didn't see her again.
Fair dinkum, as you may know, means something or someone you can trust.
See, I don't.
Also genuine.
Genuine. Yeah, fair dinkum. Real. Yeah.
Genuine. It's a real thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been having a sticky beak, Sheila,
That doesn't surprise me, Bruce.
which is like having a gander. That could be a problem.
It is.
What's a sticky beak? And what problem could it cause? Anthony.
Yeah, I think I know what a sticky beak is, but I'm not going to say.
As long as you haven't had one.
You know what a sticky beak is? It's I just can't get this image out of my mind. As soon as you said sticky beak, I was like, oh, this is exactly what it is. There's no way I'm going to say it in front of you people. But, a sticky beak. Oh, here's what a sticky beak is. And this is actually true. You know when you take your gum and you throw it out, like on the street and so forth? Well, this is actually true, is that when birds come around, this is actually like a social education for all of us, because I noticed I would throw out my gum everywhere on like the highway. They actually eat the gum, and what happens is that they choke on the gum. And so by choking on the gum, they die. So next time, and so really that's the very, it's not really what I think a sticky beak is, but anyways. But just so you know, that could be what a sticky beak is. So don't throw your gum out on the street because it will kill birds.
I must compliment you on your rather creative explanation of what a sticky beak is. However, it's just simply busybody. It's the Aussie term for busybody. You're a busybody, we'll say that someone's a sticky beak. But having a sticky beak is going and putting your nose in really where it doesn't belong.
Right, Sheila, Bruce.
Oh.
Bruce, Sheila. Okay, on that note, we love Australia, don't we, Bruce?
Oh, we do.
It's a Fairhaven, beautiful place, and put it on your bucket list. Make sure you go before you die.
And just before we go, we can speak properly.
Yes, we can.
We know how to use
Absolutely. And we did go to school.
We went to school. We can conjugate a verb. Or is that a noun?
I don't know.
You've got to conjugate something. We do
Yeah.
that a lot in Australia. But seriously, great country. We are well educated, despite the fact that we speak idioms. Australia, to add to what Cole just said earlier, is 95% literate. So we have a very good literacy rate in Australia.
Leaders of medicine.
Yeah, we learned how to talk proper.
We did.
So that's what I'd like to say. And now at this moment, we'd
Bruce,
like to
What time is
Bruce,
report?
could you please call on my mate for the timers report?
Brian, may we have a timers report?
Mr. Madam Table Toastmasters, all speakers were on time except Lydia, who didn't reach the minimum amount of time.
Okay. Thank you.